Hello and welcome back to the Eurovoxx Podcast, the place where we will be discussing all things Eurovision. Coming up on today's episode, the third entry for Eurovision 2023 has been revealed in Belgium, and we will be previewing national finals such as Spain's Bendidorm Fest and Norway's Melody Grand Prix. But first, we come to our guest today. He is a Eurovoxx member, probably the most Estonian Dutchman I have ever met, and actually the person I overtook as the youngest Eurovoxx member when I joined back last January. It is Twan. Hello, Twan.
Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing very good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well indeed. So we're going to kick things off with three questions. We always ask our guests these questions. So Twan, what was your first Eurovision like?
My first Eurovision, the first Eurovision that I can remember is actually a Junior Eurovision. That's from 2011, 2011. I really remember Rachel from the Netherlands finishing second with Teenager. And I really love that song. And in 2012, actually, when the show was in the Netherlands, I remember standing in the bathroom together with my mother and talking about going, but all the tickets already being sold out, and me being really sad about that. So that's like my first really big memory of Eurovision. So I started getting into Junior Eurovision before I got into the actual Eurovision show itself.
Was that just due to the state of the Netherlands in adult Eurovision? You thought Junior Eurovision is a better avenue
Uh,
at the
well,
moment?
well, actually, Junior Eurovision is very, very popular in the Netherlands,
Yeah.
and it was back in the day, and it still is today. So I guess that's why a lot of young kids watch the national final of the Junior Eurovision. So I guess that's why.
Makes sense. So was your first adult contest 2012 then, or was that even a bit
Um,
later?
no, I think my first adult contest was 2014 or 2015, but I'm not
Oh,
exactly sure. And the first time that I followed national finals and everything was in 2018. I remember that very, very well.
do you remember your first national final?
I think that was Melody Festival, and
Oh, so
I
late
think
on in the
I
group.
I think it was Melody Festival of 2018.
Oh, good. So that would have been Benjamin and Grosso. Okay, yeah, very.
No, or it was Estilal. I don't know which one was first because I remember
SD Lau's usually first,
because I
obviously.
remember being obsessed with La Forza already.
You got the Estonian bug very quickly, I see.
Yes.
All right. So our next question: what is your favorite Eurovision entry of all time, and why?
This will not surprise many people. It has actually changed over time, but my current favorite Eurovision song of all time is Kula by Oitlepland from Estonia in
Lovely.
2012. That song is so incredibly beautiful.
Oh, it's very very underrated song. It's one of my favorites from Estonia. Probably, off the top of my head, it's like second, I think. But I mean, what a voice! What a voice!
Incredible.
Uh, I think I've said this many times to you and Polly. Our other Estonian that's not Estonian really, but I've said Ots could probably read out like a Chinese menu or sing it out, and it would still be amazing.
Oh,
His
for
voice
sure.
is
When
his
I
voice
went
is ridiculous.
when I went to see AC Laul in person in 2022, it obviously was in the final, and I was just blown away by his voice. I mean, that man could fill that arena without the microphone, and he had a microphone. It was incredible. And actually, a funny story: I went to Tallinn like 3 weeks ago, and I was walking around the city, and in some places they're playing music, and
Yeah.
at this certain place they were playing the instrumental of Kula actually. So I was really happy to hear that. So beautiful.
Did you fill in the blanks and just do karaoke at the place and just sing along?
Um, there was no one there, so I might have sung a little bit, but not
Ah, okay.
entirely.
But no proof, sadly, no
No.
proof. You just hitting the high notes of Kula.
Yes.
I can imagine. So the final question is always a guest submitted question. We asked the previous guest of the show to submit a question for the next one. So this one was submitted by Stu. What, in your opinion, is an album everyone needs to hear?
So an album from a Eurovision star that I would love everyone to hear is Rai by Suri. That's her EP that she released in 2012. It includes 4 singles and a cover of Silent Storm from Norway 2014. And these songs are just so beautiful. They're very different from her actual Eurovision song Storm. They're more emotional, they're more ballad like. And I just think everyone should hear these songs because they are just super good, super high level.
Yeah, I love Suri as a person. Remember, I saw her at a LEP as the host, and she's just fabulous personality to be around. She is more specialised in ballads as well, from what I've seen. Did you like Storm as a song by any chance, or did you think it was
I,
way out of her
I
style?
really liked it, but it wasn't one of my favorites, to be honest. And I do think the performance really lifted it. And she herself really lifted it because she made that entire song.
Just to clarify, when you say the performance lifted it, do you mean the actual planned part of the performance,
Yes,
or the
the planned
okay?
part, because the staging concept itself was actually really good. It
Yeah,
was just
it
that it
was.
was interrupted in the final.
You know what? Actually, after I took a few years off Eurovision, 2018 was the first one I like properly watched it again, and started becoming a Euro fan. So I remember rooting for Suri, who at the time I didn't really know. I didn't really know about the song going into the show, but I remember thinking in my head when the Stage Invader came on, I was like, "Oh no, no! Like we're gonna struggle enough as it is. We don't need any more bad luck in
Yeah,
this." Although there was actually a naive and stupid part of me that thought, "Oh, this might help with televote. We might now go underdog story, go all the way to win it again." Sadly, not the case.
sadly.
Although we did finish ahead of Sweden in televote, and not as big of an accomplishment now because of 2022, but at the time that was something I would tip my hat on to with the UK. I was like, "We beat Sweden once, get
Very
in a."
deserved, by the way, but aside from that,
No, I agree. I wasn't even at the time when I didn't really know the songs in advance. I wasn't a massive fan of "Dance You Off," too high pitched. Remember thinking it was weird when it got so high in the jury. Obviously, in hindsight, again, knowing how Sweden usually do in the jury, probably expected. So, third episode of the show, and we have 3 songs for Eurovision 2023. First, it was Ukraine, then it was Albania. We covered those in the last episode with Stu. And now we move on to Belgium. Belgium selected their entry for Eurosong 2023. First time they used the national final since 2016. And the eventual winner was Gustaph with Because of You.
World got me going crazy. I carry on, and it's all because of you. Because of you.
So that was Gustaph with Because of You, Belgium's entry for Eurovision 2023 in Liverpool. Gustaph is from Leuven in Belgium, and he previously took part in Eurovision for Belgium as a backing singer in both 2018 and 2021. So I think it's safe to say, at least amongst the Eurovision fan community, this was definitely a surprise winner with Because of You. I don't think many people, if any, had this down as their winner. But just because it's a surprise doesn't mean it is a bad song necessarily. Tuan, what do you think of this?
it took me some time to get into it, actually. Right now, I really love it. I catch myself singing it quite often because it's super catchy. And the performance is just really well done. He sells the song very, very well. And I have to say, his backing vocalists slay. They are so good.
Yes.
And his vocals, incredible. I honestly think it's a really good package to send to Eurovision. And I think it's going to qualify.
You think so? Oh, okay.
Just
Okay,
putting out a bold
interesting.
prediction there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely clip that, and I will send this to you if it backfires.
I'm not. I some with predictions. I'm like, I have one prediction a year that's like very out of there, but it's correct. In 2019, I said Tamara Tedesca was going to win, and she ended up winning the
That
jury.
is a very good prediction. That's very good.
Everyone was laughing at me because no one was believing it, but she ended up actually winning the jury. And then in 2020, I said Anna Stoklic with Voda was going to win. I still stand by that, and she ended up not winning because the concert was cancelled.
Yes.
And then in 2020, I had no correct predictions, if I
Do
recall
you mean
correctly.
2021? Because obviously 2020 was the cancelled one.
2021, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean 2021.
Oh,
Yeah.
20. I've said this story on a couple videos before, or at least one. It's definitely on one. So I was part of a podcast with a friend of mine, and we did a preview for 2021 show. And my worst prediction to this date is I said San Marino were going to win the televote, and that is
I
an
mean, more
awful.
people have said that.
Yeah. Oh, more. Yeah. More people have said that, but I just thought with Flow Rider and just the fact it was closing, I thought people were going to love this. Turns out it was like I'm pretty sure it was one of the lowest songs apart from the 0 pointers, which is a shame because I love Senate. She's fantastic.
I think my worst prediction probably has to be that I predicted Iceland as a non-qualifier in 2021.
You predicted
Yep.
Daddy Freya to not qualify.
Yes.
Come on. How
Well,
did you?
in my defense, I based that on the like performance video they did in the small
Oh, okay.
ROV studio.
Oh, okay. So
So
you didn't do it based on you didn't do it.
on the Eurovision performance,
No,
no,
that
not based
okay.
on the Eurovision performance.
Oh, okay. You've always got to wait for the Eurovision performance before you make a final
I've
prediction.
learned.
So anyway, back to Belgium. In terms of this song, it's a very fun song. It's a very very fun song. I do think it's slightly dated, and it's slightly generic in terms of the fact that when I listen to it, can predict the next thing that's happening. There's no surprises there. There's nothing that's going to wow you necessarily, apart from maybe Gustav's vocals, which, to be fair, are very good. He's definitely a seasoned performer in this style of music, and I compare the backing singers to the Mamas in a way with John Lundvik's performance, in that they really do elevate this song, and it creates more of a fun party atmosphere on the stage. You can really tell they're enjoying themselves. In terms of this winning, I was floored. I was quite shocked. Just because I do think Belgium had a really strong national final, in my opinion. A lot of quality entries, a lot
I
of
agree. Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
really, really strong. But I think with this one, you look at it and it's like I can understand how it did well with the televote. I can understand how it did well with that because it is fun, and I think maybe the casual viewer tuning into a national final for the first time in Belgium saw that and thought this is a fun one. Because no disrespect to the other six, there wasn't as many like fun bop style songs in the running necessarily. Um,
There were a couple.
yeah, but there's not. I think Belgium. I think Gustaf's one was definitely the most out there and like
Yeah,
in your face, which
true.
definitely worked.
That's true.
So I can understand why it did well with the televote. Jury, I'm not as sure why it did. I believe it came third in the jury, and yeah, it's a weird one for me personally. At the moment, I know we've only had 3 songs, but I'm not as convinced this will qualify. I just think that there's going to be a lot more current modern competition, and this just won't stand out necessarily. Although I will say the fact that this is only a televote system with the semi-final, that could definitely help. So we've covered the main song, obviously. What was your overall impressions on the national final? Because as we said, Belgium, this was the first national final they did since 2016. So what did you think about the staging, the song quality, all of it?
Well, because I speak Dutch, I could enjoy the episodes before the actual final as
Lucky
well.
you.
And I, th- I think it was a really cool concept of just putting the artists together, like in a kind of holiday house, and
Yeah.
then having them enjoy music and having fun with each other, getting to know each other before the actual show. And I really like that. And I like the fact that the artists themselves had a big say in their song choice, but also the other artists could advise the artist sing the song on which they would sing. And it actually surprised me that only the Starlings didn't choose the song that was advised to them by the
Yeah.
song club, so it's called. And I think that's a really good system. I think it's kind of reality. It's kind of mixing reality TV with a Eurovision national final, and we've not seen that before ever. So I think that was really cool. And in terms of the final, That was just a really, really polished show.
Yeah,
It was in a massive arena. The stage was great.
love the
The
stage.
host was
Love the
great.
stage.
Every performance was well done. Every performance had staging. Every performance had what it needed. And I just think it was really well done. The only thing that I will say, though, is that the voting was quite quick. And on one hand, that was really good because we weren't in suspense for so long. But on the other hand, I kind of like when you're kept in suspense.
Yeah. Oh no.
So that's the thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, you know what? I think in terms of the national final itself, I really enjoyed the whole process with Belgium. I didn't see the preview shows, but I quite like the concept. I don't think it's one that necessarily helps pit with the winner, but it doesn't harm it either. Although I did come up with a theory of surely the artists can slightly sabotage and say, "Oh no, the terrible one's very good. Pick that one." I don't think any of them did that, obviously, but it was the thought that came into
No,
my head.
and all the artists basically picked the song that was the best for themselves. And for most of the artists, it was just a fact of getting that feedback from the song club, from the other artists, that they made the right choice for themselves. Because a lot of them already had made the choice before
Yeah.
actually hearing the advice.
That's what I saw for. I thought that a lot of the choices seemed not necessarily predictable, but they seemed like it wasn't required for the feedback, in a sense that they'd already known out of the two which one they wanted to send. And then yeah, when it came to the actual final, Belgium might have my favorite staging when it comes to the end of the show. Or like the national final season, sorry, because I think it was a great staging. It was very adaptable, and it really I love the diversity of ideas and styles in the final, and a lot of polish as well went into these songs. You could really tell that effort had been put in, which is what you need regardless of what you think of the winner. All the artists and the songs put a lot of effort into their entries. In terms of some of the obviously favorites that didn't win, the two that stand out, I would say, are Shireen and Gala Dragot, who were fan favorites throughout with their songs. What are your thoughts of why they potentially fell slightly short?
I'm not sure actually, because I think Galadrigo put on an incredible performance.
Yeah.
It was super emotional. She really captured her feelings in the performance with the dance and everything. It might have been that some people just weren't clicking with it, which I can understand because it's a typical song that you either really click with it or not.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Shireen, I'm actually not sure. I was quite convinced that Shireen would win, actually, even though she wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
So I was very, very surprised that she didn't even get the top three.
No, she came fourth, I believe. I think
She did.
my personal opinion on Shireen was I was convinced she was going to win until I saw the staging. Now,
Yeah, that's very fair.
I'm aware that she's a very creative mind, Shireen, and you could tell that with the product that she submitted. However, I think the problem is when a couple people I've seen online who weren't a massive fan of the staging saying, "Oh, but it's all about the song and what you can change that for this for Liverpool." That doesn't matter for voters of the show. They can only vote on what they are seeing in front of them, not necessarily potential. And I think the problem with Shireen's staging is it made it less professional. It almost made it
Yeah.
seem like, like a junior entry, which is in some ways not a bad thing, but for the adult contest, wanting to get like the mass appeal rather than just like appeal to a younger audience, that like it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work, and I can completely understand why televoters didn't go for this. Gala Dragot was my personal winner as soon as I saw the staging. Phenomenal staging. Gala Dragot is an artist, and I really want to see her back at Eurosong or whatever Belgium decide to do with internal. She needs to be back.
Or Albania.
Or Albania. Who knows? Albania would
Who
also.
knows?
Yeah, Albania would also be fantastic. She needs to be back. She's got so much creativity in her songwriting and in her presence that she's made for Eurovision. She needs to go at some point. It's a shame it wasn't this year. Well deserved with the jury win, I must say, well deserved.
I
It's a
agree.
shame that the televote just didn't quite gravitate towards it as much. But yeah, I think a splendid effort from them, and to be fair, a lot of the other artists as well, I thought also put in a very good effort.
And now it's time for
Okay, we gotta go.
30 seconds.
So now it's time for another edition of OK Gotta Go 30 Seconds, inspired by, of course, our golden boy from 2015. So, Twan, for those that have not heard the show before or can't remember a couple of weeks ago, basically, I've got a list of 43 countries. These countries took part in Eurovision 2018, so they're all recent countries in terms of the contest. You will pick a number between 1 and 43, and then you will get 30 seconds to name that country's entries in reverse chronological order. You can either give me the title of the song, or you can sing a famous part of the song, hum a famous part, basically because I'm aware some countries have fairly hard titles to pronounce. So for this game, you get 2 lifelines. You get a country restart, where basically if you are completely stuck on whatever country you're on, you can say another number immediately and then go from there. So essentially picking another country. The other lifeline is the year check. So at any point, if you are stuck on what year you're on, you can clarify what year by basically saying year check, and then I'll tell you what year you need to give me. You can only use these lifelines once at any point. If you run out of entries for a country, so for example, if Australia has a small amount of entries, you can immediately pick another number and go from there. This doesn't count as your year check. The only other rule you need to know is 2020 entries do count. So, Twan, do you have any questions?
No, I do not have any questions.
Wonderful. So your time will start as soon as I say the country, and it will end when you hear this.
Okay, hit the end.
Okay.
Wonderful. So, Twan, can you pick a number between 1 and 43?
I'm just going to go for 1.
Okay, so number 1. So, Twan, you have 30 seconds to name as many entries from Austria. Go.
Okay, 2022. Halo, Amen, Limits.
You've missed one.
5. 5. That's a country.
Oh, United Kingdom. Go.
2022 is. Fuck. I'm so bad at these games.
Okay, hit the end.
Oh God, what a flop!
I will just give you that one.
When I hear the timer, it reminds me of my secondary school. I had a teacher that would always put up a timer on the board when making a test. And that was super stressful. And that brought me back to this. So I always get stressed and I block.
Yeah, to be
But
honest,
I did well.
yeah, these type of
enough.
games always add an element of stress. I'll be honest, I apologize because you should have got an entry a bit sooner than you did. I'll tell you why I got confused, because the entry you were missing out from Austria was 2020, which was alive. So I just thought you were saying I just thought you were saying a number that saying something that rhymed and was close.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair enough.
So yeah, that was what you were missing. Obviously, Limits was 2019, so you would have had that if you managed to get in between. I will just give you Spaceman. It was just on the buzzer, but it was close enough. So that means that Twan, you scored a total of 3 points for this show, which actually puts you in second place out of everyone's entry. So the current standings are: in last place with 1 was Jess. Second place now is Twan with 3. And still top of the leaderboard with 11, it is Stu. So that completes the 3rd edition of OK Gotta Go 30 Seconds. So now we're going to do some previews for some national finals coming up in the next couple weeks. And trust me, we are getting into the thick of it. There are 2 big ones coming up. The first one, though, people are talking about is Spain Benidorm Fest is coming up next week. We've got the semi-finals. If you want to watch us or hear us talk about the songs in more detail, or 18 songs, then you can watch our live video at Eurovoxx YouTube, where we discuss all the entries. In that video, there are two people fully aware of Spanish culture, in Clara and Yana, and I'm also in that video as well. So, Twan, Spain obviously had high expectations after not only Chanel with Slow Mo, but the overall quality of Benidorm Fest in its debut last year. What are your thoughts on the sequel, in a sense, to Benidorm Fest?
I had really high expectations because I absolutely loved last year's edition. And I have to say, it's not that I'm disappointed, but I expected a little more. I think there is not a lot of diversity. I think the songs are really good in itself, but I think it really lacks diversity because a lot of the songs are kind of the same genre, same vibe. But that doesn't take away that the songs itself are really, really good overall.
Yeah, it's really good quality. I do agree with you that a lot of the songs are a similar style. I think there was much more diversity in last year's contest. But then again, Chanel with Slow Mo did so well that you can understand a lot of people trying to replicate that style and trying to go for something similar, because at the end of the day, don't fix what ain't broke. Which is, I think, France's philosophy in Junior Eurovision, if I believe, with their style. Seems to work.
Very true.
Very true, yes. So before we recorded this video, me and Twan both put together our top 9 in each semi-final based on what we thought was going to qualify. So not our personal rankings, but what we thought was going to qualify. There are 4 qualifiers in each semi-final. I'll be honest, they're both very hard to predict for varying reasons. But I combined the scores and put together an average. So with that, these are the 8 songs we think will qualify for the grand final.
Arde. 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 Yo quisiera parar el tiempo, pero no puedo. Mírate bien al espejo y mírate con orgullo. Mírate que me duele la carita. Buscamos la salida, lluvia de largas, cercanía, olvidos de amor. Y si me das todo lo que era, ahora es algo nuevo. Todo ras de tierra está tocando cielo. Desde que tú estás. Viviendo cuando me muera, que me entierren en la luna y tú a la no se te vea. Toda la noche entera hay una cola que espera, pero ven con quien quieras. La noche entera, toda la noche entera.
So that was our predicted 8 qualifiers for the Benidorm Fest final. They were Agony, Alice Wonder, Fozza Nocta, and Megara from semi-final 1. And from semi-final 2, we have Alfred Garcia, Blanca Paloma, Jose Otero, and Vico. So obviously there are 10 other songs that are competing in Benidorm Fest, but based on our predictions, we don't necessarily see them having a great chance or any chance of taking home the trophy. So out of those 8 songs there, Twan, are there any standouts there that you personally like?
Blanca Paloma, by far. I put her song in my Slays playlist, and that's basically the playlist of the songs that I love the most at the moment.
It does not surprise me at all that you have a playlist called Slay's Playlist. Like that is, yeah, that's perfect. Came up with that name
Yeah,
for
I
you.
put her in there, and I love that song so much. It's really different from last year's song, but I really like that she's gone for something totally different. And actually, also, Carmento is in that playlist. I know that she's not in our predictions. She was actually in my predictions. I put her fourth because I think it will appeal to a certain audience. And a lot of people will like it. And I think they will vote for it. I hope. because I am obsessed with the song. It is actually my winner of Benidorm Fest this year.
All right.
I just love it so much. I don't know why. It just has something so elegant about it that makes me love it so much. So yeah, I really hope she qualifies.
Yeah, I must confess, I did feel bad when I saw you put Carmento in your 4th place because I have that in 9th, likely to qualify. So I had it in dead last. So I was like, oh, he's not going to be happy.
I mainly put it in 4th, and because I think a lot of people will like it, and to give myself hope.
That's completely fair. We've all got to give ourselves a bit of hope in Eurovision. For my personal taste, I discussed this a little bit in the live stream video, but Megara is my favorite out of this selection. Just love the rock vibes, the electronic beats. It's just a song that makes you feel alive. You know, it's so much energy put together in the stage. I'm not sure on its chances of winning. I do think they have chances of winning, definitely, but this will certainly stand out from the crowd, and as long as the vocals are good, this has a solid shot, and it's just it's quality at the end of the day. I really enjoy it, and it'll be something completely different for Spain. The other one that I've got on my radar as songs I love is Jose Otero. Love the traditional ballad feel. It's got so much amazing vocals. Could do with a few more words in the chorus, but personally love it. I think it's fantastic entry. So we've gone through our personal favourites. Then, Twan, if I'm going to put you on the spot here, if you had to pick one song that you think is going to win Benidorm Fest and represent Spain in Liverpool, what do you think and why?
Blanca Paloma. Because I think that she will put on an amazing performance. We already saw a little glimpse of what she could do last year. She has really good live vocals, and I think a lot of people in Spain will love her performance.
Yeah, a lot of hype around Blanca Paloma, obviously coming back from last year. My concern is I'm not sure if this is a universal enough sound to potentially take home the trophy. It's got to appeal to like 3 different sets of votes at the end of the day with Benidorm Fest, but I think it could do certainly well. My pick for the trophy is actually Agony. I think he's going to do it. Another song I love Agony's song. To me, if the vocals hit, and I think we could say that for all the artists in Benidorm Fest, if the vocals hit. Of course, that's got to be something that needs to happen. But with Agony, if the vocals hit, he's got incredible vocals on the studio track. He's got an amazing dance feel. And those two combined, you've got the televote and the jury there. And very popular in Spain. I believe at one time, he had the highest viewed video on the Spanish website or the YouTube channel. Don't know whether it's still the case, but definitely in the initial stages. So yeah, I see a lot of things going towards Agony's way. And that's my personal pick to win it all. Obviously, there's a couple others looking at the odds. The other one that I would say is a potential winner, even though it's not to my taste, definitely one that people are talking about, is Fosa Nocta with Mi Familia. My concern with that one is, as much as it's got a very contemporary sound and it appeals to a mass audience, we've seen that with the views on her own YouTube channel, it's one where I'm not sure if it will struggle or not with the juries, because it's a very out there sound. It's very untraditional for Eurovision. Nothing like this has ever been sent to Eurovision before, and I just worry that they're going to strip this back a little bit. But yeah, they're my thoughts on Spain. Obviously, semi-final 1 taking place on the 31st of January, semi-final 2 taking place on the 2nd of February, and then the grand final on the 4th of February. So the other national final taking place that weekend is Norway's Melody Grand Prix. Now, we are recording this, and this will likely go out before Heat 3 results. So we don't know from Heat 3, even though we've heard the songs, who is going to be going through to the final. But whoever it is, they will be joining these 6.
We know the kings are ready to fast, spinning the wind. Nothing in this world can stop the spread of a wing. We know the kings are broken our cave. Round and round. Just let it move. Just let it go. Take back control.
they were the 6 finalists already announced. From Heat 1, we've got Alessandra, Ulrika, and Umami Tsunami. And from Heat 2, we've got Elsie Bay, Yon, and Swing It. So obviously, 3 songs from Heat 3 will be joining them. Any quick idea on who you think will be the 3 songs that go through?
The one I'm most sure about is Maria Celine. She's one of the favorites to win, even after Ulrika and Alessandra.
Yeah.
Such strong entries that one managed to overcome them even is really impressive. So that's the one I'm very sure about. And then I'm also quite sure about Atle Pettersen qualifying.
All right.
And then the third one, I'm on the fence between Tyrell and Akuvi. And I think that will depend on the live performance and everything who will get the third spot.
Yeah, so Maria is a certainty for me. I look at Maria's song that it's kind of one of the stories that you want to happen in a way, where like it's this new artist that no one's heard of and it wins because of the song. I'd love to see that with like that kind of Freya, with
Well,
that.
to be fair, I'm not really sure how much of an unknown artist she is because she was in The Voice.
It
and
is
she
her
got really
it's her
high.
debut single though at the end of the day, and
Yeah, that's true.
it's not
but yeah,
especially amongst the fandom at the very least. It's not the most well-known artist.
yeah, that's true.
And then the second, not certainty, but I'm fairly certain Ukuvi will be in the final. It's got a very televote friendly dance feel, and we've seen that she can perform well. For me, this is much better than her entry in 2020. And yeah, I can easily see this going through the final. And then this, you know what, you were talking about bold predictions earlier. I've got a fairly bold prediction. I think the final spot will be Skrillex with Love Again. I think that,
I would love that.
you know what? It's not my third place. The other 2 are my top 2 from this heat. But Skrillex's song, there's something about it which is so televote friendly and so like 2000s Eurovision cheese that it's going to be a load of fun on stage. It's going to be full of just stuff that happens. And especially compare that to the other 4 songs, which varying degrees of like likability for me. I do love Tyrell's song as well. That I think that does have a chance. But especially when it comes to the other 4, it's harder for me to picture them doing good staging. They can easily prove me wrong, but it's harder to stage those well. There's not as much of a standout moment in those 4. So with Skrillex, it's very easy to stage this to be memorable and have a load of fun. And we saw with Swing It in Heat 2. Sometimes all you need is fun and a standout package. And you know what? It's not high in people's rankings, Skrillex. But I reckon it's going to sneak through, and I'm going to look like a genius if it does happen now. Obviously, we will
I
cut
would love that.
we will cut this part in the podcast post if she doesn't qualify. But anyway, no, I'm kidding, of course. We will keep this in. So, with a rough idea on who we think will be in the final, obviously we know some, don't know others. Again, similar to Bendidorm Fest, what are your personal standouts across the finalists, potential finalists, all
Oh God, where can I
encompassing?
start?
Yeah, my
Um,
answer too, to be fair.
Definitely Ulrika. Her song, when I first heard the song, I was just like, what's happening? I got shivers all over. It was just so beautiful. And I still listen to that a lot, like on a daily basis. So that's definitely one. And aside from the fact that the song is amazing, I would just love her to have her moment at Eurovision.
Yes, please.
Also, a standout for me is Alessandra, Queen of Kings. As we might have noticed, the song has been going quite viral lately, and as of now is the most streamed song of the entire Eurovision season. I love the song from the first time I heard it. It just has, it's really like Run to the Hills from Melodifestivalen.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's better, I think. It has that extra bit that the Run to the Hills didn't have. And her live performance is amazing. We've already seen that.
Yeah.
So that's the second one. And then the third one, given that she qualifies, it's Maria Celine. When I first heard the song yesterday, or this evening, I was blown away. Well, actually, I wasn't blown away immediately because I expected a little bit more, given that the snippet was so amazing. However, after a couple of more listens, I was blown away already. because it's perfect. It has the perfect build up. It has the perfect like explosive ending, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I cannot wait to see how they're going to stage this.
Yeah, I have high hopes for that one as well. In terms of my personal ranking, first of all, MGP is by far my favourite national final this year so far. By a country mile. Like, there are 5 songs, and bear in mind, I want to point this out now. I consider myself almost like a Simon Cowell of ranking songs. I am very critical. Like, I've got to love a song to put it. Like, I'm not just going to give out 9s and 10s willy nilly when it comes to national finals. There are 5 songs here that have got either 9 or higher. They are from like 5 to 1. Maria got a 5 from me, and then also Alessandra. 9.5s was Yon and Elsie Bay, and then the only time I've ever given a song a 10 is Ulrika. Similar to you, the sheer emotions that were going through my mind, like the sadness of the lyrics and the meaning, the like amazing vocals that give you shivers, the instrumental that is stunning. There's just so much there, and it's not for everyone. I'm aware that this is not for everyone, and various other people have said that this would just be Eureka coming back and winning just because it's her. I disagree completely. I think this is a fantastic entry. It's not for, again, it's not for everyone. It is quite a generic ballad sound, but when done well, it's such an amazing sound. And yeah,
I totally agree.
and one thing that people I don't think are appreciating as much is lyrically, it is so clever. It is not generic at all. I'm going to give an example is, if you know the story, it's about Eureka's friendship with her manager, and how they went through a point where they couldn't convey each other's emotions to one another and they had to separate for a little bit. And the lyric in the chorus of "Honestly, I'm terrified," it's so blunt in terms of like, you know what, let's not try and mess around or like find a clever way of conveying these emotions. Just honestly, no strings attached, I'm terrified. And it's like, it's such a blunt statement and a powerful one where it brings so much emotion to the song for me. And look, for some reason I'm dead inside. I don't cry at songs. This is the closest I've came to crying at a song. It's so good. And just the other ones as well. Yawn is one of my favorite, if not my favorite dance song in national finals, with from like the last 5 years maybe. It's so good. Alessandra, amazing staging, and Elsie Bay can't do no wrong between Death of Us.
I love Elsie Bay
Yes.
so much. Last year, I already thought she was robbed with Death of Us.
Oh, she was. That's a
and
fact.
then this year she's back, and she elevated her performance even more. Last year, I have to say the staging was a bit lacking in her performance.
Oh, I love the staging.
It was really clever.
When it came to the
but it was a
final, I
bit-
thought it was spectacular.
It was really clever, but it was a bit static at points. However, this year it was so well done with the dancing and the lamp and the like curtains in the back. It was super well done, and it really gave me shivers all over. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule out Elsie winning either, to be honest. I really don't know who's going to win. I really don't know.
Well, I feel bad in asking you this now because, again, under pressure, you've got to pick one song that, not who you want to win, who you think will win Melody Grand Prix.
Ulrike.
Ulrika, I'm gonna go for the same. I think she will take it in what will be, let's be honest, an incredibly emotional moment if she wins.
Yes, for sure.
Also, bit of fate potentially. This is the first time they're going back to a big venue for the final since Ulrika won in 2020, so that would be quite amusing. Also, I think what we've got to appreciate this year in MGP is the televote is mixed with the jury for the result. That will really help ballads like Ulrika, Maria, and Elsie get near the top. So I'm aware that, well, they might not be as worried, that it's in the back of their mind. But I'm aware with songs like Swing It qualifying for the final, there's that potential worry in the back of my mind of there might be a potential novelty act doing well. I think juries are going to balance that out this year. We are going to get a quality...
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I'm guaranteeing is we're going to get a quality entry from Norway that will, when it comes to Eurovision, do well with the jury and the televote. For once. For once that will happen.
I think it's a really good decision to just keep the televote for the semis, and then add a jury in the final. I think that's a really clever system, and I hope they've sticked to the system they had before. I hope they didn't stick to the system they had before with the gold final.
Yeah.
I hope
I
they
believe
just
it. I
announced the
believe it is
scoreboard.
just the scoreboard. I believe I looked it
I
up
hope
earlier.
that is the case.
I believe it's just the scoreboard.
Yes.
Yeah, that will make it. It'll make it much better. Because the problem with that system was there wasn't enough time to vote in between like sections because obviously it restarted, and then there was not enough time. But just strip it back. That's what Norway have done. They've stripped it back, and hopefully the results will pay off. But yeah, we both think Ulrika is going to take home the trophy with honestly.
And now it's time for Unpopular Opinion.
So now it is time for another edition of Unpopular Opinion, the part of the show where our guests expressed an opinion that's not necessarily the most positively viewed amongst the Eurovision community, but it's a safe space here to share our opinions and let it be known just out into the world. So, Twan, I think it's safe to say that you are not the most conventionally opinionated person when it comes to Eurovision. Was it hard to narrow it down to just one?
Impossible. I have basically every opinion I have is unpopular. A lot of the times people don't agree with me. So that's also why I have picked the unpopular opinion that Måneskin from 2021 is my least favorite winner of Eurovision ever.
Oh, okay. Bit of rock,
I
Måneskin.
really, really do not like that song. I will say though, when I went to see Eurovision 2021 live, there was a little moment in the song that was like, I like this, but then I went back.
Was it like
liking
3 seconds? There was like the
It
ending.
was a bit more.
The ending.
It was a bit more, but then I went back to not liking it, and I really do not like the song, and I cannot get into it. I've tried, I've really tried, but I just cannot.
Through
get
peer
into
pressure, he has tried, guys. Trust me. Where did you rank it in 2021? Do you know?
I think it was 40th or something.
That's impressive. There was 39 songs, so you.
Oh, then it was 39th.
It's very nice.
It was last.
It was
last.
Oh god. See, when it comes to my least favorite winner, I think off the top of my head it's Russia 2008. I think it's either that or Azerbaijan 2011. It's very conventional, like last place winners. Yeah, but Italy, I love that song. Very much elevated through the live, but yeah, I think it's very much my style. I love a good rock song, and I can understand it's not for everyone. It got a ridiculously high televote score because of how popular they were, and sometimes that can rub people off the wrong way. By any chance, what was your winner in 2021?
My winner in 2021 used to be Slovenia.
All right.
But after the lives and everything, it went to Ukraine, Shum.
Very
And it is still one of our most listened songs of Eurovision 2021. I love that song. I'm obsessed.
It's such a fun song. It really is, and it's in some ways it's maybe Solveig would have done this if the contest had gone ahead, but it paved the way to the success of Stefania in terms of that ethnic group sound, but mixed in with the techno beats. Because I think before then Ukraine had similar to maybe Heart of Steel now, they had a more modern Western European sound, but Shum proved that you can do well with being ridiculously Ukrainian in your song, and Stefania obviously, took it to another level.
Yeah, I think that Shum is just a little more catchy than Solveig is.
Yeah.
So I think Solveig would have done really well, but I think Shum did a little bit better than Solveig would have done, just because it's more catchy and it gets the crowd going more easily.
Yeah, 100%. So, where would you have seen Måneskin like potentially coming? Like the bare minimum, you could have been okay with it coming, if that makes sense. You can't say last because it obviously automatically qualified. For
No.
the final.
I can see. I can acknowledge that it's a really good song, and they performed it amazingly. The staging was on point, but it's just not for me. So I would say top 10, top 5.
All right. So, in other words, traditional Italy positioning. Yeah, pretty much. So that concludes this episode of the Eurovoxx podcast. I hope you had a lovely time listening. Twan, thank you so much for being an incredible guest. Great to chat to you. And join us next time where obviously Norway and Spain will have their entries, but also we will have entries from Ireland and Slovenia for the next time. And a little spoiler, we've got a very special non-Eurovoxx guest for the next episode. All I can say is they both are very excited to be taking part. So stay tuned for the next episode. But until then, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, all the social medias. Make sure to follow us on Spotify. Give us a rating. It really helps out. Expand this podcast. And yeah, just enjoy the national finals of Bendidorm Fest and MGP as much as we are going to. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.